Hello everybody and welcome back. In this video we're going to be implementing the bare bones structure for our users page provider, which is going to be the class which is going to be providing the data as well as handling the state for our users page. So with that said, let's get into it and let's see how we're going to be doing it. So as we've done before for similar providers, for similar pages, I'm going to create a new file inside of my providers folder. And this time I'm going to call that file users_page_provider.dart. With this, I'm going to open the file up. And the first thing that I'm going to do is that I'll import the packages that are required. So the first package that I'm going to import is going to be the material package, because that's going to give us access to our change notifier class. I'm also going to import the Cloud Firestore package because we're going to be using some classes that are given to us from the Cloud Firestore package. I'm also going to import the getIt package. And with this, I'm going to now import the required services. The services that we require for this users page provider are going to be our database service. So for that, I'll do services/database service, as well as our navigation service. So services and then /navigation service. With the services all imported, I'm also going to add the providers import, and I'm going to import the authentication provider class because we do require access to our authentication provider. With this, I'll define the imports for the models that I'm going to use. The first model that I'll use is going to be /models and then our chat user model. And then the other model that I'm going to use is going to be import /models, and then I'm going to use the chat model. And finally, I'm going to import a page as well, and that's going to be the chat page that we had created. So /pages and then our chat_page.dart. Make sure it's chat page and not chats page. With this done, I'm going to now create the class, which is going to be responsible for encapsulating all of the logic as well as the functionality associated with our users page provider. And I'll call that users page provider. I'll make sure that this class extends change notifier, and then I'll open the definition for the class. Firstly, we're going to add some properties to our class. The first one is going to be a variable of type authentication provider that will keep a reference to our authentication provider. I'll also add a database service, and I'll call this _database. And I'll also have a late, and then I'll call it navigation service. And I'm going to call this _navigation. With this done, I'm going to move onward, and I'm going to define a list of chat users. And this is going to be the list which is going to store all of the users that are going to be pulled from our Firestore database. And then it's going to be saved inside of here. I'm also going to define a late list of chat user. And this list is going to be the list of users which we're going to select to chat with. So when I go to the completed version of my application and I wait for it to start and I go to the users list, this selected users list is going to hold a reference to all of the users which I've selected on so that I can chat with them. And this is what this list is for. I'll move to the application that we're developing now. Finally, what I'll do is that I'll create a getter function, which is going to allow us to get the list of selected users. And I'll call that this getter function is going to return a list of chat user. It's going to be a getter function, and it's going to be called selected users. And then it's going to return our _selected users list. With that done, I'm going to now move onwards, and I'm going to define the users page providers constructor. And I'm going to say that the constructor is going to take this ._auth as its first argument. And that's pretty much all we're going to do. And we would have no other named arguments. I'm going to say that when the users page provider is actually instantiated, we'll set the selected users list to be an empty list, because at that time we haven't selected any users. And I'll set the _db _database variable to be equal to getIt. Then from there, I'll do .instance.get of type, and what we're getting, it's going to be database service, and then I'll add the parentheses to invoke the function. I'll also do navigation as well. And for that, I'll do the same thing, which is getIt.instance.get, and then I'll do navigation navigation service and add the parentheses to that as well. Finally, I'll do command save, and I'll move onwards to defining a dispose function inside of our class. And for now, what I'll do is that I'll just add one call to it, which is going to call the superclass's dispose function. Once that is done, what I'm going to do is that I'll do command save, and I'll go to my users page, and I'm going to try to now link up my users page provider into the widget tree of our users page. So to do that, we know how it goes. The first thing that we have to do is that we need to import our provider file. So I'm going to do import .. From there, go to providers, and then I'm going to import my users page provider. Once the provider file has been imported, I'm going to go down to where I have my build function, and I'm going to wrap the build UI function inside of a multi-provider. So I'm going to remove the call to the build UI function, and I'm going to say that instead of returning a build UI function call, I'm going to return a multi-provider. The multi-provider expects a list of providers as well as a child. The child is going to be a call to the build UI function, and for the actual providers list, I'm going to have just one provider, which is going to be a change notifier provider, and it's going to be of type, which I'll add by adding these triangle brackets, and the type is going to be users page provider. And then in the create function, we are going to disregard the value that gets passed in, and then we are going to return a new instance of our users page provider, and to that we'll pass in our _auth variable. I'll add a comma just to reformat the code, do Alt-Shift-F command, save, and restart my application just to make sure that we have no errors. And yes, we do not. With this done, the next thing that I'm going to do now is that I'm going to create a variable on the top of my users page state class, and I'll call this users page provider, and I'm going to call it page provider with an underscore at the start. And then I'll come down to my build UI function, and I'll take the container and I'll copy all of the code for building the UI, and I'll remove that. And I'm going to say that I'm going to return a builder, and this builder is going to take in a builder function. The builder function takes in a build context, so I'm going to add that underscore context, and then it is expected to return a widget. So what are we going to return? Well, we'll return the same thing that we had copied, which was our lovely container. And with this, I'll just add the remaining commas for code formatting and do command save. Now that we have access to the context, what we can do is we can use that to get an access to our page provider. So inside of the builder function, before returning the container, I'm going to say that our page provider is going to be equal to underscore, and then I'll do context watch, and then I'm going to say that we're going to watch our users page provider, and then with this I'll do the parentheses and add a semicolon, and that's pretty much all we had to do. With this, I'll restart my application again, go to the users page, and we should have everything showing as it was. The data shouldn't be changed, but now our users page provider is actually linked with our users page, so we can start adding business logic to the users page provider, and we're going to be doing that in the next video. So with this, I'm going to end this video here, and I'll see you guys in the next video.